office in New York City, where the executive director, Mr. Ryan, is just about to brief the press on the processes for this year's elections. And as you know, it's keenly contested between the Democrats and the Republicans. Who is it going to go to? What is the process for conducting a free, fair election that one that everybody will be pleased? You know, you can't please everybody, obviously, but one that the results wouldn't be contested. So this is what we're here to listen to at the board of elections in New York City. And this is the board that takes care of all 5 boroughs in the city.
I'd like to start the day off today by introducing myself. My name is Michael Ryan. I'm the Executive Director of the Board of Elections, and I've been here in this position for the last 11 years. So this is my 3rd presidential election. 2016 was its own issue because we had 2 candidates running for president at the time with with deep New York roots, so that brought its own set of challenges. And then 2020, of course, was during the pandemic, so that was its own, totally its own election. So I'd like to give Mr. IGNIZIO an opportunity to introduce himself as well.
Good afternoon, I'm IGNIZIO. I'm a former elected official here in New York State, both in the City Council and in the Assembly. I came to the Board of Elections 3 years ago, and Mike and I work as the bipartisan team that you'll see a lot of throughout your travels here in the New York City and New York State.
1, early voting locations, there's 155. Election day locations, there's 1,211 this year. So your poll site might not be the same place. But when you go into the poll site, you'll go in, you'll see, you'll go to a table where you have to check in. That is the poll pad. They'll look your name up. If you don't have it, you don't have to use it. But if a voter received our card, we sent one of these to each one of the voters. On the back it has a barcode. That barcode is specific to the individual voter. That can be used to scan the voter in and speed up the process. Now, during early voting, that check-in process would prompt a machine to print an individual ballot up for the voter. The reason that's done is we have to report our election results by assembly district and a subset called an election district. And each one of those ballots has to be different in order for that to be recognized. And also, crossing over from one district to the next, there might be a different mix of candidates on the down part of the ballot. So when you go to an early voting location, that ballot would be printed from a printer. When you go to an election day site, they're pre-printed. That's the big difference for the voter. Once you factor that out, the next step in the process, then if you want to walk them through the next step after they check in, they get their ballot.
Go to your privacy booth, fill out as you see. It'll be this way, so nobody can see what you're doing. I'm very short, so I'm going to go with this. Fill it out, spin it around, and then
These are all overvoted, so I'm not going to put it into the system. But then you would simply place this ballot into the scanner, and then it would come up, "Thank you for voting," and you move on with the rest of your day.
And the hard copy ends up in here.
Yes.
That was a state legislature requirement from
Right.
2006, I believe.
And inside this box is another box, which closes and locks. So at the end of the night, when voting is completed, they open this door. Inside, they lock that box that's in there. That we call it a blue ballot bin liner because it's blue. That's our secret code. And
very advanced here.
Exactly. That's our advanced technology. The blue ballot bin liner gets sealed, and then we have security seals that get placed on that to ensure against tampering.
With the NYPD ensuring security throughout the whole process.
Right.
For
Generally, voter turnout in New York City has been controversial in terms of like not many people turning out on electoral process. However, this last weekend you were reporting numbers that maybe are surprising everybody. What can you tell us about voter turnout and what does it mean in general for an electoral process?
So that question is mostly true, except for presidential election years. We get our highest levels of participation during presidential election years. We get lower participation, say, in a mayoral year, slightly more in a governor's year. But the presidential election is always a big event for us. We call it our Super Bowl. What we were reporting over the weekend was the turnout for early voting, which it was the highest day one that we've had since we started early voting.
By 50%.
By 50% compared to a presidential, much higher compared to other dates. So we have only have early voting since 2019, so the general election in 2019. So 2020 was our first general presidential election with early voting. And it was also an international pandemic. So trying to compare this go round to then is difficult. But to Mr. IGNIZIO's point, in 2020, we had 92,000 voters show up on the first day of early voting on that Saturday. This year, we had 140,145 voters on the first day. As of close of business yesterday, we had just shy of, not counting the absentee numbers, and I think
It's about 200.
well, I was gonna throw it over to you.
Yeah, about 700,000 total. So
Right.
So could we expect overall that the early voting process for this political cycle will break records overall?
It already
Yeah.
is, right? Go ahead, Ben.
No.
Right. It already is, and it's showing no signs of slowing down. What we've done, though, to, as my mom used to say, don't break your arm patting yourself on the back, but if we don't pat ourselves on the back, maybe nobody else will. We had, in 2020, we had less than 100 early voting locations. Last year we had 106, this year we have 155. So we've added 50% to the early voting locations, and we've also added to the hours, and we made them more what I would call regular. We were feeling our way through the early voting process, and we were attempting to schedule the early voting hours based on when we thought it would be good for people to be available, and also comply with state law. So what we did now was we made it standard 8 to 8 Monday to Friday, and 8 to 5 Saturday and Sunday, which exceeds the state requirements by about 30 hours roughly, and we have the most early voting hours in the state.
Hi, I'm Oyiza Adaba with Africa Related in Nigeria. I'm just wondering what training process you have for these 40-something thousand people that work for you.
We have a robust poll worker training process in person that is also supplemented with video. It also includes not only the regular, what we'll call the regular training, the stuff that you need to know about the law and how to deal with the machines and all those things, but we also have a very robust training process with respect to accessibility for persons with disabilities. Now, we often think of disabilities in the form of severe disabilities, people that cannot ambulate, people that can't get around on their own. But disabilities start at a very small level, and it's funny that you just put your glasses on, because I always wear corrective lenses, have a form of a disability. Right? Your eyes aren't working as good as they used to, and sometimes they need a little bit of assistance, and sometimes they need a remarkable amount of assistance. But one of the things that we don't have here, it's an older device, but we still have it. It's called a ballot marking device, a BMD, that assists members of the accessibility community. It has a sip and puff device, it has audio, and all those things. So yes, they get training. They get training, specialized training with respect to all members of the community, so that everyone has a free and fair opportunity to vote. And the state law changed, and the State Board of Elections is going to be taking over setting the standards for training so that it's adopted fully in all 62 counties.
We have to shortly bring this to an end.